Hey, good people. My name is Lavinia Latham, and I am a lawyer and workplace investigator here in Canada. Now, I recently started public speaking, and this clip that's coming up, this snippet, is going to be an example of a talk that I recently gave for FKB Media, which is a speakers bureau based out of Toronto here in Ontario, Canada. So that being said, sit back, relax, and definitely take out your notepad if you're looking to get some solid tips on how to become a resilient leader in today's ever-changing, ever-evolving society, world, workplace, wherever it is that you're navigating challenges as a leader. And also, let me know in the comment section down below if there's anything that resonated with you, if there's anything that you'd love to hear more on, because I'm very, very happy to help.
Lavinia is an experienced litigator, engaging workplace trainer, and skilled investigator. With her impressive academic background and numerous accomplishments, she has successfully represented clients at all levels of court in Ontario and in Canada, including the Supreme Court of Canada and the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. A co-developer of the anti-racist leadership course for the Catholic Principles Council of Ontario, Lavinia has led over 100 equity and human rights training workshops, making her a highly sought-after public speaker. Her commitment to justice started at a very young age, driven by a strong sense of fairness and a determination to become a lawyer. I once wanted to become a lawyer. I'm here today. Beyond her legal and advocacy work, Lavinia is also a YouTuber and professionally trained actress. Please join me in welcoming Lavinia Latham to the stage.
Thank you so much for that fantastic intro. Every time I hear that intro, I'm like, who is that? Does she sleep? It's a lot. And I want to just ask for your brief indulgence while I come up here with a bottle of water. Earlier this morning, I was actually in Aurelia. We were doing some training for an ONRA conference that is dedicated to municipalities who are looking to improve their workplace investigations. So we were talking about mobbing, group bullying. That's another term for group bullying. And so I was driving up the 400, gunning it here, because I was supposed to be in the morning, not at night. But nevertheless, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here, for remaining seated, for giving your full attention to today's, the entire showcase. And to that end, I want to express my gratitude by giving you the opportunity to just stand and shake it out for a second. Let's just stand for a good 10 seconds and just shake it on out. There we go. Shake, shake, shake. Doesn't it feel good? It feels good, right? So we all are practicing resilience. There were fantastic speakers today. There were people who talked about burnout and nutrition, leadership in so many different ways from so many different perspectives. And so today I want to share with you what resilience looks like to me from the perspective of a lawyer who's gone through a lot. I mean, it's no secret, I am a Black woman, a very happy Black woman at that. But I will say that navigating these spaces was not easy. And navigating these spaces required resilience. And so I'm going to share with you a very vulnerable story that I actually haven't shared with anybody else. So I am actually shaking right now, thinking of sharing this story with you, but I'm going to go ahead and share it nonetheless. So it's about first day of articling, and I have a client that's in court. I'm a criminal law student, a criminal articling student. We do 10 months of articling. So in law, we like to legalese everything. Articling literally is just an internship. That's literally it. It's an internship. And so I'm at this firm and I'm practicing the criminal law. And I go over to, it wasn't 361, I think it was Old City Hall. They used to have a courthouse there. They've since replaced it with the major big courthouse just behind Nathan Phillips Square. So I'm ready. I've prepared. Obviously, I've prepared. I want to be a strong leader. I want to be a strong advocate. I want to make sure that whatever circumstance has brought this particular client to the courtroom before the judge, I want to make sure that I'm advocating very strongly on his behalf. So I walk up to the podium, not very different than this one right here, And the justice, he calls my name. And so I state it for the record. I say, Lavinia Latham. Lavinia, Latham, Latham. So he starts to ask me some questions. And I have them prepared. I'm ready, right? So I'm answering the questions, good to go. The Crown now, who is the other side, she decides to ask some questions that are actually not really appropriate for an articling student. I had nothing in my arsenal to answer this. And so I'm standing there, racking my mind. I'm like, how do I answer this question? My client, in his orange suit, beside the police officer, curses out loud, and he's like, who the F sent the students? Let me tell you, I crumbled. First day of court, I crumbled. I stood there, and the tears just flooded my eyes. I felt so embarrassed. I was shaking. I was so scared. And I had no answer. I'm just blanking out, right? And so, thank goodness, for the duty counsel, which is basically the public court lawyer, the defense lawyer at the court. She decides to hop in and help me with these submissions. So she goes ahead and she answers the Crown's questions, and that gives me an opportunity to kind of finish what I'm saying, close my submissions, and that's the end of that. So I beeline out of that courtroom, and I head for the nearest corner to cry, of course, and to really recount, like, how did I screw that up? How many of us have screwed something up royally when we wanted it to go well so badly? Y'all know I did. So I'm like, now, thinking to myself, okay, obviously the firm wants to hear whether or not, like, the day went well, what happened to the client, all of that, right? And I'm like, do I go back? Like, I just want to head back home. And at the time I was living in Brampton, I just want to hop on the 401, head back home, get out of this situation, right? And so I didn't, though. Instead, I decided to, dry my tears, compose myself, and walk back to that firm. And so that was my first foray into resilience as a lawyer, as a young lawyer. I learned in that moment to stay calm under pressure. Because had I have stayed calm under pressure, the answer would have came to me. I would have been able to compose myself, and I would have had the answer for the justice at the fingertips, at the tip of my tongue. But because I freaked out, it was gone. So that's my first lesson is to stay calm under pressure. Because freaking out and stressing out, it really doesn't help. Take it from me. The second lesson that I want to share with you is to focus on what you can control. So for me, practicing law, there were a lot of uncontrollable circumstances that I just couldn't control. Like, you had to deal with it. It is what it is. For example, very long, late hours. Like I told you earlier, I was living in Brampton, right? And so living in Brampton and finishing the day at, where was it again? It was University in Dundas. Finishing at University in Dundas, having to drive my little hoopty, because I had a little hoopty car. Very cute. Shout out to the Toyota Camry Green, 1995. V6 power engine. I was living it up. But anyways, so I have to hop on that 401. Sometimes it's 12 o'clock at night. Sometimes it's 2 a.m. And guess what? The lawyers, they don't care. All they care about is that whatever that case is that you need to figure out, whatever that submission is that you need to draft, whatever it is you need to do it, and it needs to be ready tomorrow. So that was uncontrollable situation number 1. What did I do? How did I figure that out? Well, I actually started prepping things in such a way that I could take the work and bring it home. And of course, this was pre-COVID-19. So, it took a lot more efforts than it does today to work from home, so to speak. So that was the first way in which I was focusing on what I can control. The second way in which I was focusing on what I could control was the fact that law is very demanding. They kind of call it like a really angry, demanding, like, side piece. And like, no matter what you do, the side piece is just begging for attention. That's law, right? And so the side piece is demanding all this attention and really forcing me to ignore my family. At the time, my grandmother, she was battling Alzheimer's. She's since passed away. But it took me away from my dear grandmother. And it took me away from my family members as well. And so I had to think of a way. I can't change the fact that law is demanding, but I can change how I show up to that. And so I decided that, the times that I had to drive all the way out to Kitchener, sometimes I was in Waterloo, Niagara, all over the place running into like court. And so I would speak to her on the phone, and that's how I managed to maintain a connection as she was in her last days. So that's another way in which you can like really start to think about your circumstances differently. Oftentimes, I know for me, I get stuck in an idea of, oh, I wish this wasn't this way. I wish this would just be different. But that's not productive, and that's not resilient. What's productive and what's resilient is to say, okay, that's the circumstances, it is what it is, but what can I do to change that? So the third lesson that I want to share with you after focusing on what you can control is this: adaptability is key. It's so easy to be rigid. It's so easy to be married to this and say, you know what, this is good. I've done so much with it. I've prepared, and this is what I want to focus on. But oftentimes, that's not necessarily what's needed. What's needed is to really lean into adapting with the circumstances, being fluid like water, so that you can really respond more appropriately to what is happening in front of you. So if you take nothing from that brief little snippet of my resilient leader talk, I want you to take these 3 points. Number 1, you need to stay calm under pressure as a resilient leader. Number 2, I want you to focus on what you can control. And last but absolutely not least is number 3, adaptability is key. So this is just a quick example of what I offer as a public speaker, in addition to my practice as an employment lawyer, human rights lawyer, workplace investigator. There's the Resilient Leader Talk, which of course I can expand a little bit further for you. There's Inclusive Leadership Development, which can be a workshop, it could be a training session, it could be a keynote. There's Time Management for Leaders. So I'm happy to share with you my experiences and just resources that can really help you. But then I also have customized programs. And those are bespoke programming, bespoke workshops and training sessions to really help your organization kind of get to the solutions that you're trying to get to. What was it that allowed me to become a lawyer, the first in my family here in Canada? We do have lawyers in my island of St. Vincent, but we won't talk about them. Here in Canada, that's different, right? So these are some offerings, and of course, if you're interested, we can absolutely discuss more.
Thank you so much for checking out that video. If you liked what you saw, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who you know could benefit from just the talk. You know, everybody needs a little bit of a pep talk, a pick-me-upper as it relates to just being resilient in this world. There is so much going on in this world right now, and just so much cause for stress and anxiety and just challenges galore. And so, you know, if I can be that person to help that individual with another tool in their toolbox to succeed, then I'm very, very happy to be that person. So don't be afraid to go ahead and share this. Also, if you never want to miss another video, definitely go ahead and subscribe and join our newsletter, which is going to keep you up to date on all brand new videos right here on my YouTube channel, Lavinia Latham JD. Thank you so much for watching this video. Definitely go ahead and check out my last video, which is all about how to become a human rights lawyer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.